Finding the Way, Chapter 0, which is the second half of Chapter 14. Ground zero is an emotional bottom, a restart, a turnaround for me to climb out of a bad belief, like in sides being all good or all bad, for no side, person, or church can be right or wrong in everything said. Life is gray, a fog, its intricacies mysteries. Bosons, junk genes, black holes, PTSD, another, ourselves. Yet on a flight to the Middle East, which was Chapter 2, I pretended clarity and spun ugly memories into proof religion is bad. This blame, bias, and bluster is the way of the world, akin to a political narrative, the story here, this chapter, of two friends fighting me over politics driving an army to step into something deep in Iraq. Fortunately, life pierces such darkness, with truth the way to see, listen, think, and be. Its time frame, not mine, here requiring scores of talks and reflection, like on a saved, unsaved polarization and three latte drinkers talking down to one without a drink, which was the last chapter. Then it dawned on me that light, rocks, and genes, God's writing without words, opens minds to what is and what was, and ancient scrolls, God's writing in words, open hearts to what defines a proper spirit. And that put light on what is important, coming together to help each other through dark times. And when darkness seeps into me, as it will, life itself jolts me free, here through a deja vu, pointing back to older, unresolved hurts, through parallels, military bases, Camp Australia and Da Nang, local partners, Iraqi and Vietnamese, foreign religions, Islam and Buddhism, and political spin that blames, which darkens friendships, families, and the ability to think and to look within. After returning from our headquarters for the Iraqi war, life jolted me to work through my experiences. The story here is that a dinner with a swim buddy, Tucson Sam, who insisted I come over to relate how the war was going. Yet my stories quickly revealed he did not seek understanding, details, or friendship. He, in a tone, argued against my experiences by regurgitating spin out of his favorite media and what became my cross to bear. Yet the real problem was not his reaction, it was mine. I took it personal, which undermined my ability to flower into wisdom, discernment, energy to bear great fruit, commitment to truth, and stamina to love. And that put me at my emotional ground zero, me struggling with a spun up swim buddy, his certainty out of his favorite media, which caught me in a squeeze of intensity, his blame, and disgust at my not swallowing his side's narrative, that party line, which was odds with what I saw at Camp Australia. And what I saw there was suicides, overdoses, mental breakdowns in the barracks. And this was an R&R base. These people were here to rest and relax. Local tribes, sects, and militias not stopped from looting munition bunkers to protect themselves, which armed every insurgency. Corruption and bribes as a way of local politics. Lack of evidence for weapons of mass destructions out of Arab speakers. They were children of Arab-speaking parents who were gathered from out the military, and these people who understood Arabic poured over the captured documents out of Iraq. An intentional intimidation at Abu Ghraib, a prison, through dogs, women guards, and a female general in charge. But the Tucson couple overtalked, jamming spin at me, a filibuster driving me batty by insisting Iraq is a victory of biblical proportions, and negativity stops willingness to righteously fight. Their ire later ignited a social media eruption over what had happened to me. Their spin, attacking another, me, for sowing doubt and canceling history. Their post proclaimed the Iraqi war a no-brainer. Remove bad, hold elections, and go home. Not that taking out a strong man bottling up resentment unleashed a chaotic grab for power, with the winner a 2-against-1 tyranny of the biggest group. The host post continued for weeks, tailored for an audience to like, by stating what that audience wants to hear, which I saw as a glitzy ride to a fantasy, not the way to truth as a narrow path and hard. The Post, fed by the most Christian of broadcast media, pushed an inviolable rule: support God-fearing leaders with dissent wrong, weak, and satanic. One post insisted no one had my take on Iraq, which makes me radically against the president and our military, which is the ghost of Vietnam. I felt the burn of these oratorical fireworks, these flashes in the dark, this play to its crowd through appearances and applause, promising might and being right. But spin, like any spectacle meant as a show, ignores reality as being real. Real efforts and real capabilities with crafted appearance, not that. Which had me overreacting against things staged. Not that some actions are symbolic of what is special. A real change, a real commitment to another, to be real and vulnerable, to calm fears, to go forward in life and face forces subtle, insistent, vast, and ever more powerful than I. Fortunately, at that dinner in the Tucson twilight, Cat Mom's Save Yourself from Spin Jolt, which was the last chapter, still had me attuned to my own emotions. I detected agitation and a darkening. The very mechanism of polarization was shown light on this Tucson jolt is also a blessing of wisdom, akin to the Beatitudes, which say, "Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the humble. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness." Doesn't sound like blessings, does it? Yet even that which does not seem a blessing, I now saw as one, and a later step in life's journey to truth and proper spirit, a climb beyond anger, agitation, and anxiety into deeper emotions by which I can grow real about the human condition as gullible to whatever deflects blame away from me. Then, thinking I understood, my repeated lesson over, my realizing one person's ugliness is no excuse to not listen to an entire group, the real blow hit. A nasty, angry, tense, verbal stab. You could not have been there, just as your church does not get it. He snarled at me, his face filled with disgust. Then I bit my lip so hard it hurt, alerting me to not let what come out of my mouth defile me. He continued, "This is a godly war to bring peace to a place ready for it." I flashed on the desperate looting of weapons by tribes, sects, and ethnic minorities to protect themselves. I visualized his angry stab as akin to an unguided missile hitting whatever crosses its path, often those nearest, usually loved ones, in nasty comments, a shutting up of those who listen due to an inability to silence those who do not. Even my own mind stewing over the past, a drunken priest, Jenna, too, here, flushing me down social media, which kept throwing me into a barrenness of an emotional desert. A labyrinth unresolvable. And that is when a single word echoed in my mind. Enough. I was done. At my emotional bottom, that ground zero, a turning point away from letting another's darkness darken me too. I vowed to go forward, to climb to the light and the inner peace of truth. Beginning the hard work of detecting each time my tone and attitude darkened, I was dismayed at how often that happened. How often I had to step over word residue of my past, often the exact words that had been yelled at me at some time, which pointed back to what I had to release, often forgive, really forgive, to free myself to keep climbing to a good spirit that bears fruit abundantly, a light into my relationships. Through many small steps, I worked on releasing hurts. Then the divine flow came to me. An angel of encouragement, a cheer to climb on. Not fight, not grr, not deflect real blame for another's darkness on those nearest me, by me shutting down those I loved through a barked crankiness. I realized I was to be the change I want to see in the world. A light into life, a presence of love, a listener that waited for my inner peace before I spoke. So, this is the end of this video, the last slide. Can you open yourself to jolts pointing the way, to give up real anger and darkness so you can rise out of a jam that corrects others, out of gurring blame for hurts in your past at those in your present and uninvolved? Can you find humility and inner peace of the way to properly engage those you love in your love? These hard steps, if you take them, are the way forward. So will you give up darkness to be a light into the world? Will you stop fighting and barking to stay the course? Will you treat others, particularly those closest to you, as you want them to treat you? Really, will you free yourself to love by forgiving what cannot be changed?